Just when you think you have the answers, I think Deshaun Watson just changed the questions. What is going on? Good people, Flock Nation Speaks, episode 2 for Tyler Huntley. I'm gonna do that thing too. I like that. From the Purple Rain podcast, they do it for they do the numbers for the favorite players or the players who wore that number. I'm gonna start doing that too. I like that. I mean, it's funny because it's weird how you record things. Like, to me, it's weird depending on when you record things, how things can change, right? So, like, for me, when I first was gonna set to record this, I was feeling like, okay, the Browns quarterback situation, who knows what's gonna happen, right? Now, right? I didn't even make a graphic for it because it literally just came out. Deshaun Watson is signing with the Browns. And the frustrating part about this is it feels like the Browns tend to get every big free agent there ever was, right? To make them contenders, to make them a threat in the AFC North. And now they get the biggest fish of them all in Deshaun Watson, an elite quarterback who completely changes their trajectory of what they do in the AFC North. Now, I'll put it out here right now on record that Lamar Jackson, right, kind of has Deshaun's number so far, but of course they boys, and Deshaun is great. I like Deshaun in terms of as a player, his time with the Texans. I think he was top 5 when it comes to QBs. And I think he kind of got forgot about because, of course, he didn't play last year. But now him going to the Browns, that changes things. Because it's funny. I was gonna make a TikTok and be like, Deshaun don't want to come to the AFC North, right? Deshaun don't want that. He don't want that smoke, right? Deshaun does not want that smoke. But I guess he wants that smoke. For me, and the funny part was I was going to talk about free agency, right? I was going to talk about the craziness of free agency and the Ravens. Like, it's crazy, the highs and the lows of it, right? The highs and the lows of free agency, because a couple days ago, I was right up here, boy. I was right here, boys and girls, right? I was hype as I could be. Zadarius Smith was on the roster, right? Zadarius Smith was on the roster. Then he hit us with the whoop whoop, not so fast. Of course, Marcus Williams, Morgan Moses. I was feeling good. I was like, okay, the Ravens out here, dude. I was like, whoa, the Ravens out here spending money. The Ravens don't do that. And now I'm like, well, dang, Deshaun Watson coming to the division now, I guess, because sheesh, that's wild to me. I'm a little surprised though. Because who was his last 2 teams? It was the Saints, and I can't remember the other one. But I think it was 2 NFC teams, if I'm not mistaken. And I think everybody was leaning towards the Saints because of the talent. Was it the Falcons? I can't remember who the last. I'm trying to look it up real quick. Like, I don't remember who the last 2 teams were. I can't, for the life of me, I can't remember, right? I can't remember. Yeah, it's the Falcons and the Saints, right? Like, as of 18 hours ago, that was his last 2 choices. He had cut the Browns out. But I'm a little surprised, to be honest. I mean, I guess the leverage was in his camp because he didn't play the whole year last year. I don't know. But my thing is, when I was looking at this, my thing was, I wouldn't expect the Texans to send him to the AFC. Because why would you? Right? Why would you want to play this guy, especially when it comes to an AFC championship game, or it comes to, in the playoffs? Why would you want to play him? Because I think that changes the trajectory of what the Browns are and what the Browns have been. And that's no offense to Baker Mayfield, because I'm about as much of a Baker guy as I can be. But for me, I'm sitting here thinking, Dang, that that makes it a little bit more interesting. But let's be honest, guys. All right, let's be honest. To my Ravens flock, right? I want to tell y'all this, and to maybe some Browns fans that may have tuned in too. I want to tell y'all this because the Browns do this a lot, right? The Browns do this a lot. They sign these big names, these big free agents. I just want to see if the Browns can hold up on their end of the bargain, right? Because the Browns are supposed to be the future top team in the AFC North. Then we saw how 2019 happened for them. And then, they had like a bounce back year the year after that. And then in 2021, they had that fallback, that fall back to earth type of a year. So are the Browns going to be able to live up to the hype of what they are? Now, albeit, they've signed a couple of guys. Of course, Amari Cooper, I think, I'm going to be honest with you, Amari Cooper probably made the difference for him. Because I think if they don't get Amari Cooper, I really think he probably is leaning towards maybe the Falcons or the Saints, right? Because the Saints got a lot of young talent. The Falcons got, they're always been a talented team too, but you never know what's going to happen with Calvin Ridley either. So honestly, the Browns might be the best bet, even though, let's be honest, the AFC North is the toughest division in football. I don't care what anybody says, right? I don't care what anybody says. The AFC North is the toughest division in football. And with that being said, that's what they're going to have to worry about. I'm supposed to be sitting here talking about free agency. I'm supposed to be talking about free agency. I'm limited on time. Don't have a lot of time to spend with y'all today, and I'm upset about it. But at the same time, I'm supposed to be talking about free agency. Let's jump into this free agency palooza. I don't know what we're supposed to call it, man. Like, let's jump into it. I'll talk more about Deshaun a little bit later, but I do want to get into these signings that the Ravens had set up and we thought was set in stone a little bit. Then they tricked us with Zadarius Smith. But, as you see on the screen, Marcus Williams, Morgan Moses, and then you also have Zadarius Smith. We thought all three, right? We thought all three were going to be coming to the Ravens, right? Ravens fans were hyped. We got the ball hawking safety we wanted. We got a tackle that's experienced, but also that's got the smarts with it too. And then Zadarius Smith on the edge, right? Pair him up with Tyus Bowser, right? Pair him up with Odafe Owe. Hopefully get Derek Wolfe back. Calais Campbell hopefully coming back too. Like, we was feeling stacked. Then you got Marcus Williams on the back end. We got some discipline. Oh, no. And then Zadarius can't pull the rug out from under us. I ain't going to lie to you. Let's talk about Zadarius first, right? It's the wrong one. Let's talk about Zadarius first, right? Let's talk about Zadarius first. Zadarius Smith, who used to be a Raven, was drafted by the Ravens, right? For some reason, I'll never truly understand, they didn't re-sign Zadarius Smith. For whatever reason, I don't know what it is. They didn't re-sign Zadarius Smith. I was upset about it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was a little hurt, okay? They didn't re-sign Zadarius Smith, and he went to the Packers, paired up with Preston Smith. They had a heck of a year a couple years ago, and then he had the injuries and everything last year, and now here we are, right? Now, albeit the last time that something funky kind of happened with a signee of the Ravens was who was it? Am I thinking Leonard Floyd? Am I thinking that right? With the Rams, he was on the Rams. I think it is Leonard Floyd, if I'm not mistaken, right? Everybody was like so excited, he's coming in, it's going to be good for the depth of the team. And then, just didn't happen. And I don't even think he had a great year afterwards. And I might be mistaken. If I am, let me know. So you had that, right? You had that. And now I think with Zadarius Smith, I always think things like this happen for a reason, right? It's for a reason. There's something that makes sense, that we don't necessarily know as fans, but it's going to make sense in the end, right? That's how I feel about it. It's going to make sense in the end. It don't make sense right now, but it's going to make sense in the end. And it might even end up being Zadarius Smith coming back. I think Zadarius also saw the money, right? Edge players were getting ridiculous money. Unique Ngakoue and all these guys, all these freaking Chandler Jones, right? Got a pretty big deal too. Like, the edge rushers are getting good money, and Zadarius feels like he deserves. And I mean, you could say he's up there at the top. If he didn't have an injury-plagued season last year, I think he's still one of the top pass rushers. So, and that's why the Ravens went back and got him. Let's be honest. So, for me, Zadarius Smith, I'm upset that we don't have him, but It happens, right? It happens. So for me, that was a tough one. I ain't gonna lie to you. Zadarius Smith was a real tough one for me. I hate to see it go that way because I felt like we was really stacking up the defense. I mean, I know we ain't seen much offense go. We ain't seen much offense, and I might do a short about the offense just to kind of get some thoughts out on the offense so far in free agency. But he caught me by surprise, but I think it was for the best. Definitely when you think about it. Then going to Morgan Moses, who I think was another one who was a good signing, but I think at the same time, like he wasn't the biggest signing with like Marcus Williams, right? But Morgan Moses, from the film I've watched, but I'm gonna be honest with you, ain't been as much as maybe I should. With the film I've watched of Morgan Moses, what I like about him is he's smart, right? He's a veteran player. He's been around. He's not the quickest on his giddy up. I don't like, is that what they call it? He's not the quickest on his giddy up, but at the same time, he'll step back. He might step back even a little slow, and then he'll make that strategic move with, he kind of like he works up here more than he does, I think, physically. And of course he's a big dude and everything too. And I think it helps with the tackle depth because right now, of course, you got Ronnie Stanley hopefully coming back. We're all hoping for that. Villanueva's gone. We talked about that last week. He retired, so he's gone. And it kind of shores up what you want to do in the draft. You can pull Morgan Moses over. I honestly think they need to go ahead and slip Patrick McCarry a little check under the table, But for real, they really need to slip Patrick McCarry a check because I think to have him as a Swiss Army knife on the offensive line is huge. And shoot, you could put him back at center because right now that's one of the bigger issues too. The issues right now, you got tackle, especially on the right side, and maybe the left side, depending on how Ronnie Stanley comes back. Center, and then your guards are pretty good, right? Zeitler doesn't get nearly as much credit as he deserves. Zeitler's a beast. Zeitler, I don't think Zeitler gave up a sack all year last year. Zeitler's a beast. Like nobody can, like that was one of the best signings that they made all year last year, and one of the more underrated signings they made all year last year. So Zeitler's good. We good. We good on Zeitler, right? Zeitler's good. So Morgan Moses, to bring him in, and I'm thinking, like, I'm just trying to think. I wouldn't be surprised because I think Ben Powers is out, right? I think Bozeman, who was the center last year, I think he's looking for a big payday, so they ain't gonna pay him, of course, right? Where the money goes all to the defense. It always has, right? It always has, right? And we got young players on offense. Of course, you got wide receiver and all that. But like, it makes me wonder what they're gonna do to shore up the offensive line. Because of course, you got Ronnie Stanley coming back. You got Ben Cleveland. You got Ben Powers. Do you move Ben Powers? Do you play the Bens opposite sides of each other on the guards, one at left, one at right, and see how they do with that? That's kind of like playing with fire a little bit, but at the same time, I think it might work. And then, of course, center as a whole, but I think you could bring McCarry back in possibly, or you could draft a center. You could draft a young center. And then, of course, when it comes to tackle, now you got Morgan Moses. So you got that shirt up a little bit more too. You can still draft a guy as well. Of course, they got Tyree Phillips, who they'll probably keep, which I think for me, Tyree Phillips is, and that honestly might be their solution at guard, right? Would be Tyree Phillips. And I wouldn't be surprised if they move like Ben, maybe Ben Powers to center or something like that, because they always have done that. They move people around a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if they went that route when it comes to that. The big one, right? The big one. Let's talk about the big one. Marcus Williams, right? Marcus Williams, this is the first time that the Ravens have come out here and signed a big name defensive player that's not only young, but they had to actually spend a decent chunk of money on him, right? Like we always talk about EDC, like he the ultimate finesser, right? He come out here, he Chris Bay out here, right? Like he the ultimate finesser, dude. Like this dude got Calais Campbell. That man got Calais Campbell on the cheap, right? He got Calais on the cheap. He got, even even going back to Ozzie, they got Anquan on the cheap with the vet minimum. They got Earl Thomas on a pretty good deal back when they got Earl Thomas, right? Like, even like, I mean, even when you talk about back to offense, Dez was a cheap deal, right? Did they use it to its potential? No, but Dez was a cheap deal, right? They use, the Ravens the Ravens out here balling on a budget, right? They're gonna do that. They're gonna ball on a budget, they're gonna be smart with the money, but at the same time, I think sometimes as Ravens fans, we feel like, dang, like let's spend that, right? Let like the draft picks, we all know the Rams motto at this point, right? I ain't gonna say it, I ain't gonna repeat it, but we know what the Rams motto is, right? Y'all know, y'all can leave in the comments y'all want. Like, we all know the Rams motto, forget them picks, right? Like, we not doing the picks, like we going for the guarantees. And I'm kind of that way too, as a fan, right? As a fan, not a GM, don't know nothing. I'm not at that point of being a GM, right? So my thought process is always, hey, let's take the guaranteed thing. I feel the same way with QBs, right? I feel the same way with QBs. I would rather keep Baker as opposed to drafting a guy in this particular draft, unless there's a sure thing in this draft, right? Browns obviously found a different way to go about it. But still, my thing is, even on the defensive end, we grab Eric Weddle. I forget about Eric Weddle. Right? They didn't grab like a backup linebacker. They grabbed veteran guys, LJ Fort, Josh Bynes turned out to be great. Don't get me wrong, but that's kind of how the Ravens operate. They are, Ozzie was this way, EDC is this way. They strategic about what they do, but then I think when they do sign somebody to big money, I think you are comfortable with who it is. And Marcus Williams is one of those guys. Ball hawking safety, discipline. He goes, and he goes after the football, man. Like, that's something we've been missing. I like Deshaun Elliott, and I even like Chuck Clark. But in terms of somebody who can cover on the back end, we ain't had that in a while, because Deshaun Elliott was, he gonna come up and he gonna hit you. He gonna stick you, right? But then when you think about it, you got Chuck Clark, who they put in coverage an awful lot more than they probably should. And he really ain't the greatest in coverage. We don't want to see Chuck Clark one-on-one with nobody. We just don't want to see that. Send that man some help. So it's like ET phone home on that one. I feel like the Ravens needed this signing. They needed this signing. They needed a disciplined safety. We talked about last year the big plays. It was the big plays that were canceling out drives, that were creating struggles for the Ravens. The defense, like, let's be honest, if they had the nickel and dime us down the field, the defense consider it, right? Let's just consider the fact of all the injuries. Defense played well. But when it came to a big play, there had to be a big play on the field. We were struggling a little bit. I ain't gonna lie to you. The Ravens were struggling. So to get somebody that's disciplined, that knows what they're doing, that knows how to play their role, they ain't gonna be too aggressive, it's the perfect storm for the Ravens. I'm excited about Marcus Williams, right? I'm excited about Marcus Williams, definitely, right? I'm excited about Morgan Moses, right? But then even with the not so fast aspect of Zadarius Smith, it makes me think, what are the Ravens going to do next? Because obviously they had their eyes on a edge rusher and they didn't get it. So what's their plan in terms of that? Because of course they like to use Adafe Owe as kind of a little bit of a Swiss Army knife too, and Tyus too, but new defensive coordinator McDonald coming in, you kind of wonder how things are going to change. Real quick, last thing, I will be talking about the offense very, very soon. I'm probably going to do some sort of short video on the offense and how I'm feeling, because I really feel like these wide receivers that the Ravens have, I think it's their time to break out, especially with Lamar coming back. I'm excited. I can't wait, but that'll be in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed this one right here. Be sure, if you haven't already, YouTube, you can watch us. If you're watching on YouTube, you're like, why are you telling us about YouTube? I'm watching you on YouTube. Be sure to listen to us, Apple Podcast, Anchor, Spotify, all of the podcasting platforms. You can hit it on the Google search, Flock Nation Speaks. You're all new. Ravens Podcast, And I'm so glad that you guys tuned in. Be sure to share it as well. Share the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys on that next one. As always, DJ Bill from Bill Productions. Until next time.